Good morning, everybody. My name is Josh Morgan. I'm here with you today from Organic Approach in Lancaster, PA. We've got a beautiful day. We've had just a little bit of warm weather lately, on and off. We actually had a snow squall this past Sunday and Monday and sheer winds, and it was chilly, but it's trying hard and it's coming up. We've had a little bit of rain. Our grass is jumping. I don't know if you can see it. I can. I cut this yesterday. I knocked 2 inches at least off the whole thing. This is a fescue lawn. These are highly biological soils. And so we're going to talk about a little bit today is how we get here and why. The whole genesis of this topic comes from my father's ideas from years and years ago. A lot of other people in the industry pick up on the same thing. When you have a synthetic-only lawn program, or when you have compaction from a lot of chemical use and like basically destroying all of your biology with synthetics and things like that, you don't have aeration, you don't have depth. Basically what you're breeding is a lawn that is completely dependent upon these chemicals. It's like an addict. So if you have a full synthetic program, then your roots will not dive, your shoots will not thrive, and your lawn will crumple at the first sign of stress, whether it be drought, disease, etc. So over here, I mean, we've got 5 foot of topsoil here, and I'm actually not exaggerating and lying to you. I dug a pond out back with the skid loader a couple years ago. I hit clay 5.5 feet down. Now we've been putting biological products and soil builders and fertilizers down on our own property here for probably 2 decades. So we've got a lot of bioaccumulation going on. But again, it doesn't have to be 100% organic. You just need to actually support the biology that's there, give it what it wants. That's the long story short. I'm gonna give you a little example right here. Here's my soil probe. I don't know, maybe this is 16 or 18 inches long. On properties that have used our products for a great duration of time, I have seen turf roots go 20 inches deep. What that does for you in the middle of the summer when the sun is high is it means it still has water and it's not going to totally crap out. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to push it down here, and I've got one hand on it, and we went to the hilt. And I'm weighing about 175, 180 pounds right now. And so there's our core. I don't know how well you can see it. Try and get toward the sunlight just a little bit. But basically, that is all homogeneous topsoil. There is really no compaction in here even to speak of, and our soils are just starting to warm up, which is why this grass is jumping. So we've got a couple products out here today that are products that if you are trying to kind of go over to organic a little bit, if you're trying to treat your lawn nicer, if you need a quick green up, or if you just need a really good foundation for your long, slow glow season, we got something for everybody. So I'm going to hand it over to my dad right now, and he's going to give you a little bit more technical input on the products that we have for you today. And it's nice talking with you, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take the handoff from Josh. He led you up to this point with a bit of background on the requirements for a biologically active soil and why that's so helpful. Because right now we're greening up, and pretty much all of our neighbors are not greening up unless they have our products or our grass seed in their property. That said, the trick is this: you have to make a choice. If you are interested in an organic or biological type product, you have to ask yourself, do you want a quick green up? If that's something that you're shooting for, then you have to ask yourself, do you have a very biologically active soil? And if you do, then you can go with organic products that are less soluble, because then all you have to do is use those products to feed the soil biology. The biology will go nuts, and they'll produce your soluble and more available nutrient, and you'll get your green up. But if you have a synthetically driven lawn or soil, then the chances are pretty likely that you are lacking biological activity. And if you're lacking biological activity, then you're not going to get a natural early green up. So then you're going to have to reach for something that is going to be more soluble and more readily available. And in the case, if you want to do that, then you're just going to have to ask yourself, do I do it synthetically or do I do it organically? Believe it or not, you do have an organic option. We have a product called 1005. The product is actually called Sequest, as in short for sequestering nitrates with carbons. So we call the product 1005 Sequest. And it's granulated. Right here it is. It's a pretty easy product to apply right through a normal broadcast spreader. And a lot of people do like it because it's got some soluble kick to it, yet it's sequestered by soluble humate that we put in the product. So we're trying to be environmentally responsible with that soluble nitrogen punch or spark. And it's only a 1005, but I assure you it will green up a lawn pretty quickly. But if you want to use synthetic, that's that option. But if you want to use an organic product, a product that is actually certified organic for use on organic farms, then the 1005 would be your option, all right? But that has 5% soluble humate powder in every granule. So it's a pretty cool product. Now, if your soil is biologically active and it's kicking into gear on its own and you just want to feed it, meaning feed the biology, not the turf, then you can go with the product called N-Trust, N, capital N for nitrogen, N-Trust. And basically it's a 904 and it's almost completely insoluble. And if you just put this down at 8.5, 9.5, 10 pounds per thousand, you're going to get a nice shot of slow release nitrogen. It's just going to feed those microbes, and the microbes are going to do their thing, and they're going to crawl around and aerate your soil and defecate and fertilize your ground for you. So that's a 904 if you just want a better shot of nitrogen, but stable nitrogen, insoluble nitrogen. And then if you are looking for something that's really low in the nitrogen, still has some potassium, we have a product called 303 Carbo Grow, virtually completely insoluble, but works beautifully to feed the microbial life of the soil. It's rich in complex carbons, so it's going to do a great job feeding fungal biomass. And ironically, the more fungal driven your soil is, the fewer weeds you will have. If you look around you on the turf that Josh was talking about and the turf that's under my feet, you need to know that we hardly ever have to treat for weeds. And that is because of how we rear the soil biology. So we're able to just kind of run fertility programs, not again for the grass, but for the microbes. In other words, feeding the microbes. So when we talk with our customers about fertilizing the soil, we actually tell them we're just feeding the microbes. Now, one last comment. If for some reason you need a little bit of phosphorus, okay, a lot of people are concerned about phosphates and everything, but if you test your soil and you're low in your phosphates or your phosphorus, we do have a product called Axis 524. It's a great product. It's kind of a balance between that 1005 and the 303. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's a beautiful Cadillac. It just does the job. You can use it, and it's all-purpose fertilizer. You can use it in a garden, a produce garden. You can use it in the landscape beds. You can use it with the lawn. The trick is with this particular product, you just have to use a higher rate per thousand to get your so-called fertility. But these are all granulated products, and they're all going to work fantastic on turf. Every one of them will. Just use the right usage rate, which is, of course, on the label, which is, of course, on the website. But at this point, I'm going to leave it there.
It's early March here. It's not St. Patrick's Day. Like, I don't know exactly what the date is, to be honest with you.
14th.
So 14th. So, like, this is kind of a testament to what we're dealing with here. And I wanted to also piggyback on what you were saying about how these are not just lawn care products. We have different sizes for different reasons. Everybody has different needs, and we want to try and fulfill your needs. So, like, my dad was talking about the 524, maybe using in a garden or even potting soil as like a top dress or something like that. I also personally really like the Carbo Grow 303 for that because it's pretty idiot proof. And what I mean by that is if you are getting your plot ready, whether you got a 100 square foot little raised bed or a big old garden, you go out, you scarify this in into the top 2 or 3 inches, you're feeding your microbes, and you've got a low and slow feed all day long. And then you can go right along and you can take any of our soluble powder products, our Encourage, which is a fertilizer product, or our Nourish, which is more of a biostimulant product, and you can come back in through and you can do foliar. And you can do that on turf, and you can do that on ornamentals, and you can do it on your garden, and you're going to get screaming results every time. So there's really something for everybody here.
Well, the Carbo Grow it's an interesting product because I refer to it as the little engine that could. So if you're up around my years, you remember read a book as a kid that was called The Little Engine That Could. And it's about trains, but long story short, it was a little locomotive that just knew how to creep along and get the job done. And the Carbo Grow 303 is exactly that. It's the little engine that could. So it being basically completely insoluble, you get it scarified into the soil, and it will just feed microbes the whole season long in a garden plot or a produce plot. Just give a healthy application of it so that there's plenty of food to be broken down by the microbes throughout the growing season. And it works beautifully well. It really does. And then, as he said, Josh here, just do some foliar applications to tweak whatever it is that you want. Say you need a little calcium in the garden, you can just do a foliar application. You want a little extra nitrogen for your crop, say it's a heavy feeder, it's corn or it's tomato, then you can just give it a little spritz, a foliar spritz, and you can do it all organically. It's not that complicated. So there are products here that serve all those applications and all those needs. And we hope that we can serve you down the road, and hopefully this video has been helpful to you. All right, so enjoy the sunshine as we approach spring. All right, take care.
You.